Y'all, we have a special guest today. It's somebody who I love, who I trust, who I,
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I'll take a bullet for you.
Oh, hey.
Maybe like in the shoulders, and I'm just kidding. But, we have my mom here today, and this is going to be a great conversation. It's going to be, somebody who has done tremendous things. And the first thing we like to do when we have conversations in this entity is we want people to introduce themselves. I can introduce you. I can give you all the accolades. I mean, you've done all these great things, billions of dollars in real estate, great family, has done amazing things. But how would you introduce yourself to the world? Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Amari here. I know you're watching the episode, and I'm sure you're probably tuned in. But I just have one request. We have one request, and that is that you subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to this YouTube video because, number one, we want to make sure that you're alerted whenever we come out with the next episode and the next episode. And then also, we want to make sure that we continue to have high-quality guests, continue to have high-quality conversations, and that'll happen if you subscribe, which will bring the traffic to our page. So we're excited about it, and get back to the episode.
Well, I want to just start with my name. I'm mommy to you, but I'm Claudienne Hibbert Smith to many others. And I'll start with you. I'll start when I had birth, when I gave birth to you at 14 years old. Maybe we should just keep the last one.
Just keep going. Just keep going. This is fine. This is what it's about. It don't got to be scripted. Come on.
Who's editing this?
Me. Let's go.
It's going to be a lot of edits.
No.
So I want to start with my name. I'm mommy to you, but I'm Claudienne Hibbert Smith to many others. And many people may know my story. They may not. So I gave birth to this guy right here at the age of 14 years old. And, I could just remember people writing me off, whether it was my friends, family, my school teachers, my classmates. They all said, I probably would have 3 or 4 kids by the time I was in the 11th, 12th grade. Probably wouldn't even get out of high school. And further, I would end up in jail. But I will tell you this, if I would have stayed on that path, that could have been the story that was written for me. But it's a good thing that I didn't allow others to dictate where I was going to go with my life. So I graduated from high school, vice president of my 1997 class, went on to the University of Florida, graduated again. And you know what I say, I got my good old job, just over broke. And it's not that jobs are bad. That's not what I'm saying. I just was in the wrong job. But lucky for me, I was exposed to real estate. My mentor at the time, Tina Howell, still my mentor today, bought a house, and I realized the agent literally made the amount of money that it took me to make in a whole year, going to work from 8 to 5 p.m., sometimes working late. It was a lot. And I remember telling myself, she just did this in 2 months. If she can do it, I can do it. And I did that. 2 days after that moment, I called my job and told them I wouldn't be returning. In Think and Grow Rich, there's a chapter in the book, and I can't really remember the chapter, but it talks about burning the bridge. And I believe that was my burning the bridge moment, not in a bad way, but in a good way, because I couldn't go back and I needed to propel forward. So I became a real estate agent. I had no job, so I did it in 1 week, got my 63 hours, and here I am, the real estate mogul that you all know today.
Wow. They do this right here.
I don't like that.
Why not?
Because I think it's silly.
You can just try it.
No, that's dumb.
So what would you do?
I'm not doing any of that.
You clap, snap.
Okay, go ahead.
So you just at EXPCon. I was just with. Here you go. Now you want to do it.
I like that one.
So you were just at EXPCon.
Yeah. Great conference, by the way.
Well, I was with you actually. Recording you, and
I actually ran into one of your classmates.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Man, shout out to that guy.
Yeah, he's in real estate 8, 9 years now, and he's killing it.
Crushing it. He's with EXP.
Yeah.
How was, you just talked about a meeting. You want to talk about a meeting last night that you had, or a dinner, or a boat, whatever you had with Sharon Lecter. Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the EXP experience, being a speaker, and that. Let's just go back to right now before we,
Well, I can share with you this. I was on a few panels at the EXP conference, and I'll share some thoughts with you on my second panel, which was about creating multiple streams of income, like taking this one area of real estate and showing people how to venture off and not leave sales, because that's the engine to pump the money in. But when you pump the money in, where does the money outflow? And it was amazing to hear not only the panelists, but some of the questions out of the audience. And I'll tell you this, I was speaking on the panel, but I quickly shifted on the same panel from speaker to student, because I was able to gain notes from some of the, like Nolly and, Michelle, who was the, what do you call it?
The moderator.
The moderator. Like, there was so much energy on that panel that if you just used 1 to 2 things, because everybody's not going to use the same. Like, you could take a bunch of notes, but you got to pick 1 or 2 things or you'll get overwhelmed, right? But I could literally take 1 or 2 things right now and implement in my current business to help move me forward. That panel was awesome. Shout out to Black EXP. That was the panel I was on.
Well, how do you talk about speaker to students? And I actually saw that in the moment. You always would say that, I'm taking notes. Why is it important to do that with all the accolades that you have, all the experience you have, and how even are you able to, show humility in that way, to be able to take heed and say, man, even though I have these things that people would consider great in this space, I still want to learn. I still have to learn. How do you even get to that point? Because a lot of people can't do that.
Well, there are a lot of people that have been in this business before me. And because of their tenure and the work that they've done, and they continue to do, and if they become successful, which they were, they also have gems, right? They have gems that not only that I could use, but the audience could. I give you a good example. Nolly was speaking on the right side of me, and I could just feel the audience. He offered his free book, but he never said where to get the free book. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to stop and say, wait a minute. Like, you offering a lot of gems and a lot of free stuff. And even I like free stuff, right? And so I know the audience probably want to ask you this question, but I'll go ahead and ask it for them, because I want to know too. Like, where do we download the free book, which will help you gain momentum, get 10 to 15 listings a month? That's a big deal in our industry. For somebody to be carrying anywhere from 10 to 15 deals a month, and not deals, listings, and being able to recycle. And something else he said, work 3 hours a day and be most efficient in the 3 hours a day. Well, he said something else too. There's a $15 an hour job. There's a $150 hour a job. And there's a $1,500 to $2,000 hour job. He wants to be in the $1,500 to $2,000 hour a space, so that he can maximize what he's doing in the 3 hours that he's dedicated every day to real estate. Like, if you could work less but work more efficiently in the time slot, I think that's powerful.
And it's amazing to see that. And I think he was talking about systems. He's created systems that
He has. So I don't even know the question is really about to ask me, and I remembered that.
Yes.
Let me tell you, the conference is information overload. How is it that I was able to remember those few things? And I wrote them, and I actually wrote them down. I did not use my phone. I did not write it in the notes. I wanted to go from my pen to my paper. And so I was able to do that. So listen, I know where my business is going. I know where my team is going. And so to hear people like them, like, it's amazing.
So I'm actually sitting here writing notes, right? I'm writing notes. I like to pen to paper it as well. You mentioned pen to paper. Why was it important to use pen and paper and not your phone? And then also, how do you take information overload at a conference, like many conferences are? And how do you determine which pieces of information to implement, if any at all?
I look at my business that I have now, and I look at my goals. And that's important. So you got to know your targets before you get into a space. And I'll share something about targets later. But you got to know your targets. You got to know your goals. And I knew that before I got into the space, which then helps me to identify based on agendas, because there are times where there are 5 and 6 classes in the same block. I can't be everywhere at one time. So I've got to be in a space that aligns with what I'm doing to help my business move forward. That's how I determine who I'm going to go and listen to. Now, I happened to be on this panel, so it was a lot easier. I did not plan for that. I did not know what he was going to talk about. But I would say this. I did look at the agenda, and I did say, okay, this looks like AI. I need to know more about AI. Okay, I heard Grant Cardone say, if you're not investing in that space, then you might want to look at investing in the AI space, in the tech space. And so now my radars are up. And when I saw that, I said, okay, this is a class that I'm going to go to. Well, you know that I'm trying to grow my organization. I want to definitely align myself with people who've been able to do more than me. They figured it out so that I don't have to waste the time figuring it out. I could just go right there.
And then what's the importance of writing stuff down?
All right, so the importance of writing, there's just something, and I don't really know what it is specifically, but I think there's something when you have a thought, you take the pen, you're now writing letters, you're formulating words. My mom suffers from a disease called Alzheimer's. And so for me, being able to still, I'm taking a course right now, it's a lot, but I'm taking a course right now on being present in the moment, right? And just being able to look up words in the dictionary. And I'm thinking to myself, will my kids have the opportunity to have this experience that I'm having right now? And it just really exercises the brain, right? I don't know how I was able to remember all those gems from Nali in our session, but for some reason, I was able to remember it.
Wow.
And it's not that I don't use my notepad on my phone. I do. But I also convert those notes into pen and paper.
That's good. So I want to get to this, right? You just won an award, or you were just at the National Association of Real Estate Brokers conference. I was with you again. I'm with you for a lot of these things, actually.
Yeah, lucky you.
Lucky me. I'm grateful for sure. Man, talk about access. Would you rather have the title or the access? Which one would you rather have?
Access.
That's another topic.
If you know me, you know that I'm not about titles, that I'm about access.
No, 100%. I believe that. I think titles are great sometimes. I think titles are great. But I think also access is great too. And for me,
oh my God, I gotta tell you something. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You're gonna forget it.
No, go.
No, I just think that, when we were in LA a couple of years ago, 2021, and you had to be a certain rank to get to that room. I was a rank below it, but because I had access, I was able to get into the room. Also because I had a camera as well, and a drone at the time that I think I crashed. But I talk to people all the time. Like, even I was at TC conference this weekend, and I was with my buddy who knew everybody there, like one of the biggest churches. And I was able to get an access that I wouldn't have had if I wasn't attached to people. And I take it very serious to be attached to the right people, because the right people can give you access. And if you do well with that access, you will never have to have a title. But go ahead. That was a side note.
So let's segue into my experience last night. This was amazing. So I'm not sure if a lot of people know my story about how I got started in investing. Okay. Well, let's go back to me becoming a realtor. So I become a realtor. There are not many people in the field that look like me, who's an African-American woman. And I'm killing the market. Like, I don't even realize that it's a white male-dominated market at the time. I was just excited. It was something new. I got my license. I passed the test. I passed after failing twice, I ended up passing the state exam. And I was just excited. I was like ignorance on fire, right? And I'm doing all these deals, and I'm making $20,000, $30,000 in a transaction. And I'm transacting 2 and 3 times a month at this juncture of my life. And something to me said, okay, this is nice. I've made 6 figures in a month. I've made $1 million in sales in my early 20s. But prior to that, something said, do y'all know that something, that something, that something that just tells you, well, maybe I don't want to do sales for the rest of my life. Now, I'm only 21. The rest of my life is at I set a goal at 35 that I would retire out of sales. That was my goal at the time. And I said, but how can I do that? So I started to take my commissions and I started investing in real estate. And I remember buying my first duplex right off of 191st and 37th Avenue, across the street from the store that we all know as Strawberries. But that didn't just come to me. So I read a book in college, and I'm not an avid reader. I tell people this all the time. But I was given this book by my mentor. And the name of the book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Okay? I knew nothing about the co-author. I knew nothing about the author of the book. But I remembered Robert Kiyosaki, I know now, talking about real estate. I remember him talking about real estate and passive income. That was when I was about 18 or 19 years young. Accelerate, I'm 21, I'm 22 now. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a lot of money. But I realized that the money only came if I worked hard or if I did any kind of work. So I wasn't just going to wake up and sell a house. No, I was going to wake up, do the tools and work on the skill set to get me there. And so I said, okay, how do I change this narrative for me in the future? And my mind went back to that book. I'm going to start investing in real estate. So I bought my first duplex, making $1,600 a month. I was excited. Then I bought the next one, and I bought the next one. Then I bought a single family home, decided, wait a minute, this is one door. Let me get rid of that. Sold it, made about $250,000, bought it and invested in a 4-unit building, and I just kept going, right? But what I didn't know is Sharon Lecter was the co-author of that book. Last night, I was invited to a birthday dinner, okay? I have met Sharon on many occasions, but not intimate. She never knew the story. I never told her. But we're at a table with about 7 women, and we're celebrating my partner's birthday, Lisa Copeland out of Texas. Big deal. And her and Sharon Lecter, talk about access, are besties. And so I'm sitting at this table and I say, guys, I want to share a story with you guys. This is like a very profound moment. That day, October 22nd, 2025, was a game changer for where I'm about to go. And I'm sitting next to Sharon and I'm excited and I'm sharing this story. And now it's just like, she gets up out of her chair. She gives me a hug. We take pictures. She says, you know what? I'm going to give you my cell number. And I want you to call me. Now, when I tell people this, they feel like they shouldn't call me because I'm Sharon Lecter, but I want you to call me. I am glad that I was able to impact your life at the age of 21, 22 years old. And in that moment, where I come from, I'm not really looking at, authors and co-writers, and I'm not in that mind frame. And fast forward at 46 to have that moment was very instrumental to me. And at the end of the night, she asked me a question. She says, okay, you have to tell me your goals. And I'll say, I'll share with you my goals. But I think most important, after spending 2 hours at that dinner table, okay, my goals have shifted. So give me 48 hours. I was thinking too small. Even though I thought I was thinking big, I was still thinking too small. And that's why you have to take time and spend time with people with wisdom that are successful. Because right when you think that this is it, there's so much more to do. So I was excited about that moment.
So do you think you did a 10X or an 100X during that meeting? Your mindset?
10X for sure.
Easily.
10X for sure.
Man,
100X for sure.
That speaks to the.
That wasn't the only person I met at the table.
To keep going.
My new bestie, she don't even know she my bestie yet.
Can you say a name or no?
Sherry is my new bestie.
Who is Sherry? Shout out Sherry.
She's going to teach me how to plant. She's teaching me how to golf. She taught me how to golf in 5 minutes. That was so dope.
Okay.
She's going to come and teach the kids at the school how to golf. And just hearing her experiences, she was funny, she was witty. And here I am, and she's obviously, well, not obviously, but she's white, I'm black. I'm like, this, like, she's real cool. Like, I feel like we have some synergies. And so being able to just be in two different worlds, two different cultures, was an amazing experience for me tonight. And we've been texting all night, all morning. And, you know, she's my senior. And I'm excited to go and do lunch with her. And I know that we're going to be traveling the world together. Like, I can already see this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So not only maybe financially, but also in this other
Oh,
world.
they were both, for real, they were both financial whizzes. Okay? You got Sharon Lecter that talks about how assets are sexy. And just, like, I just know it's time to go big. I know that it's time to go big.
So I want to get to a point where, you know, and I want to talk about your recent award that you got, you know, with NARAB, where, you know, you were on stage and, you know, you won an award for $300 and something million for your team. 300 or 400?
388,000.
Was that the most you've ever done in a year with a team?
Yeah.
And I want to know, like, how did you get there, and how did it feel to do that, and how can even somebody do that in the real estate space?
You know, well, I gotta say shout out to NARAB for creating a space for so many people. That room had to have had about 500 people in it. And I'm sure that there were many people who submitted their numbers. And this idea to create an award ceremony for high production in mortgages, team, franchises, brokerages is amazing. And so when I saw that they were looking for people like me for a particular category, I simply filled it out. I had to get the documentation signed from EXP, my brokerage, signed and sealed and delivered. I didn't know where I was going to end or land in the numbers. I didn't know if I would be at the bottom. I didn't know if I would be at the top. And I ended up being number one of team volume for 2024 production in real estate. And so I'm excited about that.
How were you able to get that? How did you do it? What are the mechanisms behind that?
I attracted the right people.
So, like, we want to know step by step, right? I want to know, like, all right, how do I get, if I'm in real estate or if I'm in business, how do I get to help my team to produce $366 million plus worth of real estate? How?
All right, so good. So I was very intentional. Okay, every year I'm very intentional about my goals, what my targets are, and I'll share with you this. I knew that I would have a certain amount of agents in my organization within a certain bit of time.
And this is through
but it's not just the organization. There's also an organization and a team.
Is this through your EXP or how?
So let me back up.
Yeah.
So I'm with EXP Realty.
Can you explain?
Yeah, and they allow us to build teams within EXP Realty.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I'm not only a taker, I'm also a giver. I love a relationship where it is mutually beneficial. So I curate a lot of trainings. Now, you got to remember, I've been doing this for a long time. So I've got a lot of information. Okay. So I do trainings every week. I meet with my team every Monday mornings for 9 a.m. Eastern Standard. If you're a real estate agent and you want to join, you do not need to be with EXP. But most people come in there for motivation, and I give them tips to do that week. My agents that will do those tips will always produce. Okay? If you're going to get the information and you sit on it, you probably are not going to be productive. Okay? But that is a long segment because I've been training now in that space for over 3 years. And so I want you to think about all the compound information that people have. They're just implementing. I get rejuvenated. I go get training so that I can bring it to my group. And so, you know, the best stories are the people who implement what I've shown, what I've taught. And it's not really just doing it one time. You got to do it over and over and over and over again. The successful agent is always going to be disciplined and consistent. And then I do have some great team members too, like, you know, an Anthony Glenn, who's killing the market in California. And so being able to attract the right team is important too, which means I got to be good energy. I've got to be top of my game. I have to have mentors. I do. I have to constantly be ahead of the curve. Meeting with MG, the mortgage guy, who was a co-founder of InvestFest, which came through you. I mean, it is what it is. You connected me with him, and just him helping me to understand that I'm not just only a real estate agent or a team member or a real estate broker or any of those things. I want to deliver information. And so if you notice, I didn't ask him anything about mortgage rates. I didn't ask him anything about programs. The truth is, really, every broker has every program. But I really wanted to know, how did he get from where he was to where he is today? And one thing that stuck with me in that interview that I did with him and my team is he just kept pumping information. Even when he thought it was elementary, he realized there were people who needed that information. There were higher level people who needed another type of information. And the truth is that these people here will eventually get to this level here. And then just having the information accessible to the average daily person.
Wow. That was amazing. So you talked about getting ahead of the game, and you talked about, you've been in this game for a long time. I think now this is year 25 at this point, right? Mm-hmm. How do you stay ahead of the game with, mortgage rates always?
24.
You're 24?
Yeah, I'll be 25 next year.
Oh, it's a big celebration?
Yeah.
So, just being ahead of the game, with mortgage rates, with, housing continue to skyrocket, with, the economic situations that we continually find ourselves in, whether good, bad, or indifferent, depending on who you are. How do you stay ahead of the game? Not only as a realtor, but as somebody in business, somebody who's a mother, somebody who's a entrepreneur, a philanthropist. Some people even call you a politician. How do you stay ahead of the game amongst all the things that you already do?
I'm looking at I've missed a lot of opportunities because I was stuck in my way. But I remember, I was telling somebody this the other day, I remember when my mom did not want to get rid of a flip phone. I was like, you got to get rid of this flip phone. Like, we're migrating into smartphones now.
Who, Nana?
Yeah. And so I remember me telling myself, she's stuck in her ways because she's older, obviously, and she's familiar with what she's familiar with. And I could see myself going in that direction, and I'll tell y'all the truth. I don't really like doing stuff like this, but I realize that the person who's going to deliver the information first and quickest is going to be seen as the person that's dominating their industry. Okay. Production comes along with that too. Okay. And so I'm looking at things like, AI, and I'll share with you this. Okay. I remember using KV Core, which is a CRM system in the real estate space. And I remember having a smartphone number and the system would talk to people. Like, I had the app on my phone, and I remember it would be texting back and forth. And I say, man, this thing sounds like me. This was years ago, 10, 15 years ago. And so now today, fast forward, now that we know about AI, I go back and say, wait a minute, AI is not new. We just got access to knowing what it is, because this was happening 15 years ago. And it helped me, Amari, to get so many leads, so many listings, be top of funnel for my buyers and my database, because it was a system that was just working when I was not working the system. So it was like a plug and play. You clicked on my listing, you go on my CRM. And then if you started clicking around, the system would pick it up and say, hey, I see you clicked on this property. Are you interested? No, I have to sell my house first. Oh, wait a minute. The system would pick that up and say, wait, they're trying to sell something? Well, listen, I can send you a comparative market analysis so that you can see the value of your home. I'm watching it. And I would interrupt it sometimes and say, wait a minute. They'll say, okay, Claudienne, I'm ready. And I'd interrupt right there and say, okay, what day and time works best for you? Does Monday at 12 or Tuesday at 6 work best for you? So when I see things like that and new things come to the system, like a TikTok. And I was like, what is TikTok? It's all about Instagram. But look at TikTok. Just imagine if I would have taken myself and put myself on TikTok when TikTok launched. You say it all the time. And I was like, I'm not dancing on TikTok. I don't have time. I got work to do because I started to get stuck in my way. But I'll tell you this, Claudienne has now not a regular voicemail. Claudienne has AI as her voice assistant. You can no longer leave me a voicemail. We're going to find what you want, and we're going to make sure that we get you the things that you need. I cannot listen to 200 messages every day, and 190 of them are like junk mail. And so I got to be ahead of the curve. How do I get ahead of the curve? I go to conferences. I'm going to Pace Morby's conference. I want to see what they're doing. I'm going to EXP Con. I'm going to 10X conferences. And I'm getting ahead of the curve because those people have access to information that maybe I don't have yet.
No, that's great. That's great. I love how you talked about technology and talking about, putting yourself out there. Just, here's what I also believe in 2025. I think there is a lot of, like real estate, for example, it's you do the work, right? You go sell a house, you get paid. I think in 2025, in 2026 and up until, I think what'll separate a lot of us from others, I honestly don't believe it's just AI. I think it's the ability to build your own brand, because the brand will build awareness, and awareness brings lead, and leads obviously brings, sales. For example, you had something that went viral on YouTube, one clip that was 2 minutes long, a short, and it took your subscribers from 500 to 8,000 like 7 days, 14 days.
7,200.
Well, it's more than that now, right?
Yeah, but that went viral, and my view, my subscribers went through the roof in 3 days.
One video, and just imagine, right, off of a clip, which
you
didn't necessarily make money from right away, but I mean, I don't know if you made money from it eventually. But
I'll tell you this, I'm getting good leads from my YouTube.
Exactly, and things like that create you create duplicates of yourself.
Yeah.
Right. This is gonna be a duplicate of us.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna go out in the world, and people are always gonna watch it. YouTube is the second highest, search engine at this point, because Google owns it. Google's number one at this point, before ChatGPT takes over. But that's another topic. And so that's great to know. I want to talk about this is kind of, I guess, a different conversation. You recently doing some great things in your life. You just purchased a piece of property that has a building on it that used to be a church. Now it's being transformed into other things. It feels like you have the blue place with a hotel on it, in Monopoly. How did you get to that point? How did that happen?
It's so, just to put everything in perspective, my husband, Mario and I are school owners. Okay. And
who is Coach Mario?
Mario's my husband. And so we're school owners. We've been school owners for 9 years. And if I can go back, I would have pulled the trigger. I've always wanted to buy a building.
You had a chance to do it earlier?
Yeah, we were going to buy the building that my kids now are in for school.
I remember that.
And he just wasn't ready. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to push it. I'm always pushing. I'm always pulling the trigger. And I said, this time I'm going to step back. It's not that I regret it. I would just do that building is worth $3 million. We could have bought it for $500,000. Yeah. So
do you think you would have ended up buying both? You could have bought both?
Absolutely, because we would have outgrown that space. So, but who knows? Who knows if that space would have been, what if we weren't even looking? Because I believe that we were looking at that big building, which is 25,000 square foot, a building space. I believe it landed in our laps. But nothing is ever by accident.
Pooh, that's a bar. Hold on. That was a bar.
Nothing is never by accident.
Because you're looking, it showed up.
Mario was intentional about that building. In fact, before we opened the school, period, we went to them to see if they would rent us some space, and they just weren't there yet. So when you see a man sitting in a Mario, he would go, he could go on the expressway to go home, but he would go that way past the church. This is for almost 6 or 7 years. This is nonstop. And so I remember sitting in the parking lot with him, and the babies, Legend and Legacy, were babies. They're 3. Well, Legend will be 5 tomorrow, October 24th. Well, any which way, The babies were babies. They were in Pampers. And I remember saying, no, I'm not staying here with these babies by myself. I'm going in the car too. I got one Pamper each. I got a bottle for both of them, and I got in the car, and we sat at the church. And 3 weeks later, the pastor called Mario and said, we're thinking about selling.
Mm.
And when he called me, I said, well, don't wait. Put an offer on it today. Don't let it hit the market. And we put an offer on the building. It took us about 4 months to close, but we were able to get to the closing table. Now, what's important in this story is that we made a decision. Number two, we didn't know where we was going to get the money to buy a $3.5 million building at the time. Now, it was listed for they wanted 3.5. We ended up negotiating to about 3.3, but we didn't have that money sitting around. So what did we do? We had some money in the bank. We had a lot of assets. We sold an asset, a property that I bought for $38,000 years prior. I was
Before you were married?
I'm not sure. But we bought I bought that building for $38,000. I had been renting it out for so many years. And now I'm looking at the assets and saying, well, what could I liquidate to make this deal work? And that was one of the buildings right in Opelika. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I sold that property for $500,000.
Wow.
And that's how we came up with a down payment. Now, but watch this. And this is important. Here are the pieces that people don't really share. This was in a season where banks were filing bankruptcy and closing. Okay. A church school building is not traditional real estate. It is not somebody paying you rent every month because they need somewhere to live, right? So this is not an apartment building per se. And so banks at the time were a little leery of giving us a loan. Our books were great. Credit was great. Tax returns great. But what I found out in this experience of us buying the building is that this isn't a regular file that's just going to go to underwriting and somebody's just going to be back there approving it. Our file actually went to the board. They had a board to look at this file, and we got denied 11 times.
I thought it was 13.
We got denied 11 times from getting a loan. So we had to go the hard money route, which means now we have to come up with 40% of $3.3 million, okay? Call it 1.5 with closing costs, insurance, and all the other stuff that we had to get. But the other piece is that a grant was released from the Miami Foundation, okay? Wells Fargo partnered with them, and we were the first recipients of that grant, and they granted us $450,000 that we did not have to pay back if we did not sell the building within the 5-year tenure. And so that was very exciting. So think about it. We got to come to the table with 1.5. We had some cash. We sold a building. And that's why it's always important to buy real estate, because real estate is going to go up. Okay? It's always going to, it may take a little dip, but it's always going to go. It's just, history has shown us what real estate can do. So when I say, are you going to buy real estate today, or are you going to wait another 5 years?
Today.
Right. Because 5 years, that equity is going to build up, and you don't know what opportunities you're going to have access to. Okay. So we sold that building. We took those proceeds, put it towards that. I think we had to come close to the table with about $1.1 million. We were able to do that. The grant helped us with the additional, and the rest is history.
How much is that building worth now?
Now, because we were looking for a refinance, the banks have been telling me.
Can you explain what a refinance is to those who are listening really quick?
No, just edit that part out. Let me just answer the question.
No. Answer the question. Hey, what is a refinance really quick for those who need a quick?
So a refinance is where you occupy a property, whether you have a mortgage on it or not. You go to the bank and you say, bank, Mr. Bank or Mrs. Bank, I have a piece of property, an asset. I believe that there's some equity here. Or you might want to just do a rate and term. We're at a 12% interest only. I may want an 8% principal and interest loan. Okay, whatever the situation is, you can go to Mr. Bank or Mrs. Bank and say, I'd like to refinance this. They're going to ask you for documentation. And you just go through the process.
Okay. And then because you were getting your refinance, what happened? I asked you how much is the building worth now?
All right, so the building is now worth $6.5 million.
Today?
Today. 2 years later.
Big dog. That's awesome.
I can't.
That's amazing. That's incredible. So
you should make a meme out of that. I
can't. You caught that too. Listen,
I can't.
So I have a question, right? And because I want to talk about it, right? Because I'm not married yet, right?
Okay.
I'm going to get married soon.
Okay, you are?
I mean, that's the goal.
Okay.
I think that God is going to bless me for sure.
All right, great. I like to hear that.
With a fruitful marriage for sure. But I want to ask you a question, right? There was a while, half of my life you've been not married. The other half, you almost half you've been married. Is being married a benefit when it comes to like building wealth and in your career?
I think with the right partner, magic can happen. I think whoever you decide to get in a relationship with, you're not going to do everything the same, but you got to have at least the same core values. So you need to identify that on the front end. What are my core values and what are your core values? What are my top 3? I used to have this list of 10 things that I was seeking in a man, so I didn't get confused by the shiny objects. But the top 3 were never negotiable. And there were times it changed. There are different periods of my life that it changed. And so I think the core values need to be there. Like, are you over here doing this and I'm over here doing this? And then we can't build like that. We cannot build like that. Good job. He has his top 10.
Yeah, I can honestly say that is a true statement because the other day, maybe like a month ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, I was asking my mom about, some things, and she was like, hey, you should write down the 10 things you want in a woman.
Yeah.
And the top 3 are non-negotiable.
And then you could work everything else out.
And I have
So what are your top 3?
My top 3?
Yeah, what are your top 3? I'm the interviewer now.
My top 3 are be a God-fearing, praying woman.
Okay.
That's number 1, actually. That's my go-to. Number 2 is be able and unafraid to build when it gets hard.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that's what I've seen. Like I've seen people stick through it and build stuff. I'm unafraid to build things from scratch.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Number 3.
Be a fun, jokey, but serious person.
All right.
Like be able to kind of.
You want somebody with character and
right.
somebody. Okay, good. It's gonna make you laugh and laugh at your crazy jokes.
But then also say tighten up
mm-hmm.
when it's time. So those are my top 3.
All right, good.
I think those are pretty good. So I have more notes here, right? And I wanted to ask you this question. So I like the fact that you said, well, let me ask you this question. In what ways has being married helped you out?
All right, so.
Or helped you build this empire that you're building?
I mean, I think Mario is a lot more reserved than me, and I'm rah, 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 go, go, go. And I think when I look at his life, I admire it. Like, he is not missing prayer. He's not missing meditation. And I don't care what I do, he is not missing his gym work. Like, you got to see structure like that. It helps me to become structured, right? Instead of just switch, go, 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 go. It could be a lot. And so I think it's a good balance. And then 2, like, we have little kids now. Like, you have your 3 and 4-year-old brother who's going to be 5, and Legacy will be 4 soon. And, having support is important. Yeah, we have a nanny, but still having another parent in the house, maybe when I got to go for a week, is important. To be able to come together and say, okay, wait, what are our financial goals? Wait, what are the goals for the school? Wait, what's my goal for real estate? Wait, what's the goal for this? Hey, wait, what's the goal for this space? Right? What are the goals? And then really writing them out on a whiteboard. I've done that. We've done that many times. And then now we know what energy to give to each pillar of our lives. So you could be building with a bad person, but I've been lucky to build with a good one.
Shout out to Coach Mario. One of the greatest for sure. My next question is this. I know you're in real estate, and a lot of people want to get into real estate. Shoot, I'm in real estate. I kind of by default. People ask me all the time, Amari, how can I get into real estate? So my question to you is, not only how can people get into real estate, but what are the different ways to monetize in the real estate world and or profession?
So the first thing you want to do is call me at 786 229-6567. That was my own plug.
We're not putting that number out
Then
there.
you can plug right into my Instagram at my first and last name, at Claudienne Hibbert, on all social media platforms, and you'll learn a lot there. Okay. Now, what was the question?
The question is how can people, you give us a short answer, what are the different ways people can make money in real estate or monetize
so many
it?
people wholesale, people buy tax certificates. There's so many ways you can start. I have VA clients, 0% down, no mortgage insurance. They're buying 4-unit properties, living in one space. Some of them that are fully disabled now don't have to pay property taxes because you're fully exempt in Florida. There's some states where that does not apply. But there's just so many ways you can get started in the real estate. But I just named you some. So tax certificate deeds. You could be in the foreclosure space, short sale space, the real estate space like myself in terms of sales. That's a way to get into the market in terms of making significant money. There's no ceiling on the amount of money we can make. I'm sure I'm missing a lot, but hopefully those wholesaling. A lot of people wholesale. A lot of people are wholesaling. I love to see it.
Right. That's good.
Or you could be a Pace Morby and
seller finance.
Yeah, and just do seller's financing. I learned that from him.
Right. Very big in it. So I don't want to. I kind of want to wrap it up, and then my last question is this. I know that we're pressed for time right now, but if you had a chance to maybe ask or tell God anything, what would you maybe ask or tell God if you had a chance?
Oh, what would I tell God if He was right here?
Like boom. What would you ask or maybe even tell him?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. What's that song? Bless when you bless me. There I go. Bless when you bless. You don't know that song? That's old. All right. You know what I would ask God? I would ask God for $1 billion and to keep my family covered. I would not be afraid to ask God to bless me with the treasures of the land. But also, I want to enjoy the fruits of the land. So I would ask Him to cover my family so that we could be a blessing and be a continuous blessing to others.
Well, that's good. Well, that's it. That's it. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this. This is good.
Yeah.
I feel like I could do this for hours with you.
Yeah. Well, right now we're gonna do it for 1 hour because we gotta go.
But yeah, so y'all, this is the show.
What's the name of the show? Secure Your Future.
Right there. Secure Your Future Global and Secure Your Future Global podcast. And make sure you stay tuned in so you don't get tuned out.